Hey, it's time for more seasonal impressions. We just watched the first 2 episodes of Dororo, and it was cool. Definitely will watch the rest of this, probably, if it stays good.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on Dororo?
It looks really good. The music is good. It's fucking cool.
It's got blood and violence,
Kind
and
of
demons.
neat how they the evolution of Tezuka's style into this particular adaptation, because you can still kind of tell the similarities between the original characters.
They definitely didn't try to be good. Super faithful.
Yeah.
It just so happens, I have not read the Dororo manga, but I do own it in one gigantic omnibus. So, of course, I had to flip through and, see how similar it was just at a glance. It definitely seems like they changed a lot.
The main guy can, talk, right?
Yeah, in the manga, Hyakimaru seems to be, kind of a wisecracking, hero guy. And he definitely had a lot of dialogue in just a few pages we looked at. I don't know if there's other incarnations of this story where he can't talk. There doesn't seem to be a ton of adaptations of this. There was a 26-episode anime that ran in 1969.
Oh, jeez.
There is I think
50 years ago.
I think there was a live-action Dororo. I don't know if it was a movie or a TV show, but I believe there was a live-action, and there was also a video game on the PS2. But I don't know if there's any others. So this is, surprisingly, for being one of the more popular Tezuka stories, hasn't been adapted to death the way that, Blackjack or Astro Boy has. But yeah, it definitely seems to have changed a lot. I was very confused by the fact that the main character is not Dororo. Dororo is the kid who travels with the main character, Hyakimaru. Didn't know that all these years. Always just thought Dororo was a kid. But yeah, so the story is about a guy named Hyakimaru who when he was a baby, or when he was literally born, his dad, who's a feudal lord, in feudal Japan, he made a deal with some demons to give him power in exchange for whatever he has. He's like, I'll offer you anything. So, a whole bunch of demons, I don't remember how many, basically took just a bunch of body parts and components of his baby. So the baby is born somehow skinless, eyeless, unable to... Basically, he's missing most of his parts, but he's still somehow alive. And they just kind of ship him downriver. Interestingly enough, in these first 2 episodes, they haven't given us the actual story of how he survived. I'm assuming it'll happen relatively early on. From what I saw...
It looks like in the manga that they just immediately went into that.
Yeah, you get an introduction to him as a 16-year-old, but then it cuts right back to telling us how he grew up. So the anime didn't do that, but I assume it won't take too long. Because unless they're just going to skip it over. But, I mean, they keep showing the character who assumably gave him all the parts. This prosthetics doctor who just kind of wanders around battlefields putting his prototype prosthetics onto corpses because he's a sad boy, I guess. Interesting hobby. Everybody's got to have their thing.
Indeed.
But, yeah, so in this version, Hyakimaru can't speak or anything. He doesn't have any of the parts, but he's just going around slaying the demons and getting his parts back. And it seems that every time he gets a part back, it has a negative effect on his father's domain, which I'm sure will become more prominent as it goes along. At present, for these first 2 episodes, it's more of a wandering around adventure, fighting random demons kind of thing, which feels like a throwback, but not to the 60s manga. I mean, not that I've read it, but it really felt like a throwback to me of 90s and 2000s adventure, violent adventure stories where there were tons of samurai shit that's just a samurai goes around killing demons, Samurai Deeper Kyo comes to mind, the Ninja Scroll anime, the TV show version. There's just a bunch of these guy wanders around and kills demons kinds of stories. I don't know if those are all influenced by Dororo. I don't know if it was the progenitor of that genre, but yeah, this takes me back in a way. But it's fucking cool, like the classics.
Definitely is cool.
There's blood sprays, there's demons, there's fighting. It's not the best looking show I've ever seen, but it looks nice. The animation is good when it needs to be. It's not it's not showy. It's not like wild, crazy Sakuga or anything like that. It's like just good animation, you know, in a more normal kind of way. It's Mappa, so I I hope it stays good because their shows can often have really rocky productions. Cool OP.
Yeah, it feels like they didn't try to blow their load early.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel like they tried to fucking like go way too hard. Like they have done in a few other shows where like the first couple episodes look ridiculous and then the rest of it is comparably not so great.
Yuri on Ice.
Yuri on Ice is yeah. I mean Yuri on Ice still has good animation throughout, but it definitely was not on the caliber of the first couple. And they fixed it on the Blu-rays, but
But we're not watching Blu-rays because
No.
this is seasonal.
Yeah, it's seasonal impressions.
Seasonal watching.
We just like for the hell of it, I was looking into people who worked on the show. The director, very long time veteran guy who's done a lot of good stuff. He did the Samurai X OVAs, which are phenomenal samurai shit. Also extremely turbo violent. Very important to me as a child because it was the coolest, most violent thing I'd ever seen. So I look forward to, you know, what kind of crazy sword fights might even come up later. Maybe we're gonna have even more intense shit happen later on.
I hope so.
I certainly hope so too. But we also looked into the band that does the OP, who seem to be like 3 gender fluid trans, like clearly born men, but like if you look at pictures of the band, you like there's one who is obviously a woman and she dresses as a woman at all times, but the other members, it's totally, you have no idea. Like every picture they're dressed, some of them they have tits, it seems like, and sometimes not. Really interesting band. So if you're if that sounds like something you want to investigate, look them up. I like the OP though. It's
the OP is.
I want to try to do it at karaoke.
Yeah,
try to
it'd be a fun song.
Give me fire. He really goes really high pitched. I don't know if I could hit those notes, even if I sincerely tried. But yeah, what else is there to say? It's a fun samurai thing. Like
the monsters are dope.
It's somewhat like episode 2 is kind of slow moving. It felt like it was just trying to give us a sense of adventure, of like, you know, they're gonna go around. I'm guessing there'll be a couple episodes like this before it really gets into the meat and potatoes of the central story. The manga is not particularly long. Obviously, this anime, as we've already said, is not really following the manga closely or anything, but, you know, even if it wanted to touch on whatever the important bits are, I don't think it would need more than 12 episodes to do that. So I'm sure it will be, you know, I'm sure it'll be a tight, contained story with an actual ending, and that'll be nice. I look forward to the rest.
Yeah, me too.
That's all we've got to say about it. See you in the next one. I look like a fucking anime character. We just watched like half the first episode of Kemono Friends Season 2. Out of, I guess, morbid curiosity.
Yeah, I'd say that is probably why I made you watch it. Oh god.
Now I look even more like, I look like Shinsuke Nakamura or something. So the first season of Kemono Friends was an unexpected sleeper hit, cult favorite kind of show. Known for its very clunky CG animation, but lots of cute girls, and its weirdly charming, mysterious atmosphere that kept people's attention all the way through. And it was a show that I probably would not have watched Kemono Friends if not for the fact that it had so much buzz going around it, and I stuck it out through the first few episodes where I was kind of like, I don't really
I don't
see
get it. And
yeah.
then you keep watching it and you like really fall for the charm of the show.
You just start to realize that it's like, it's so unique, and I think that's what appealed to people, is that like, even though on the surface it's just a cute girl show that's badly made, it seems to have so many ideas and so much like odd creativity put into it that eventually you go, maybe this is really interesting, and it has a surprisingly like coherent narrative by the end.
Yeah.
So
it's a good show to just like drink and watch.
So if you're familiar with Kemono Friends to more than a tiny extent, you probably know about the controversy that sprung up when basically the guy who was like the lead guy on the show, who had poured his heart and soul into the project, and the show was made by like 7 people, I think, which is why it was so janky. But I think it's Kadokawa who owns the show, who fired him off of it because it was an unexpected runaway success, especially when they were doing all these, like, marketing gimmicks with, like, zoos and shit.
The penguins.
And the very famous case of this penguin that fell in love with one of the Kemono friends.
And then he died.
Yeah. Well, he was very old. So, yeah, there was, like, a lot of weird media buzz around Kemono Friends. And the thing is, I don't understand why, at all, they canned the guy. Because the entire appeal of Kemono Friends was how cult it was. It is a cult series. It's something that clearly is indebted entirely to the people who created it. So if you take them off of the project, anybody is going to look at that and go, oh, it's going to suck now. Like, there's no question that that would happen. But I don't get why. Like, people were satisfied with this show that these 7 guys made, that they could have just, I don't know, what? They could have given him, like, a small raise and just told him to do it again, you know? Like, I don't understand what they accomplish by taking the lead guy off the project. But as a result, they announced that they're making a second season. No one's excited about it. Everyone's, like, boycotting it. Everyone's like, it's gonna suck. It's already got low ratings before it even comes out. So, I mean, what a way to shoot yourself in the back. Like, they just took what they had, this pot of gold, this unexpected success, and just kind of
shit all over it. And
just threw it away.
Yeah.
And so, like, whereas season 1 kind of ends in such a way that seems like it would lead into a second season, and maybe, this is my only theory, is that maybe the creative vision that the original team had for season 2 seemed too risky to Kadokawa, and they wanted to just create more of the same. They wanted to keep it in the same place and do all the same things because they thought that would be safer. Whatever they thought, it obviously didn't work. It has utterly failed because everyone cared a whole lot. And, like, you would think that after the amount of outcry, they would bring the guy back. But no, they stuck to their guns, and now we've got a second season, and it is
really boring.
Unbelievably
no
boring.
Charm.
You start off, and first of all, it's another nameless human protagonist who doesn't have any memory.
We're back at ground zero.
Who wakes up in the same place, who meets Serval once again. But whereas the first season, I can remember the scene where she meets Serval. Whether I was sold on the show or not by this point, it was definitely mega memorable. The way that it presents its early scenes. This show is a flat line. It's just
super
like
fucking generic way, and they just, like, go right into a battle, and it's like, this feels like I'm watching like a thoughtless kid show.
The dialogue has no personality at all. It feels like if you had a machine watch the first season and then auto-generate a script for a second season, this is what you would get. Like, you know, there's nothing new, but also the things that are old don't appreciate what made the things that were old good. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was just unbelievably boring. And, like, the first season was not exciting. It was a slice of life, slow-paced, like, you know, calming kind of show, but it just had so many weird, unique ideas that it kind of kept your attention at the very least. This show has no ideas. Just, I couldn't believe that only half the episode had passed at the time that we stopped, because I had checked out, like, 4 different times. Like, I kept trying to pay attention. It felt like my eyes were slipping off of the screen. Like, it was greased with something. And, you know, I was coming into this, like, as sad as all the drama surrounding the show is, I'm like, hey, if it's good, it's good. I will watch I'm not watching everything from a moral standpoint. If I were, I wouldn't be watching anime, probably, because a lot of it is very badly run. But, this was just miserably boring. So, yeah, there's no redeeming qualities. How did you feel? Did you have any...
It sucks. I don't like how they changed the character designs, because that was part of the charm of the original show, and now they just look jank.
Yeah.
I can't tell if the main character is supposed to be a boy or a girl, and I'm pretty sure that's intentional, but it has a terrible ponytail that has...
heterochromia.
It looks like
the
shit.
weirdest heterochromia I've ever seen, where it's just like a dot in the center of each eye is a different color.
I really didn't like how they jumped right into a fight sequence. It's just like...
tacky.
Yeah, like this doesn't keep the original tone of the show at all, and it just feels like, really overdone and trite. Just a soulless being.
As you'd expect. It's exactly what you would expect.
The OP was kind of groovy, though. I like the OP, but...
Sure, I mean, the people... because so many of the people involved, I'm sure, are... Like, I don't think they replaced all the voice actresses. I'm sure that, whoever they hired to make the OP can do... is probably the same person as the first season. It's not as though nothing of the original is there. It's just that the most important things about the original are not there. Nope. And so it leaves you wondering, why bother? Why would you do this? Why not just let the guy who made it good do whatever he thinks is going to work, because that's what worked the first time? It's the pretzel logic of the fucking corporations. Alright, let's talk about another show. Alrighty, we watched the first 2 episodes and some bonus of Rinshi Ekoda-chan. I really like it a whole lot. How do you feel about this?
Super interesting, and Ekoda-chan is probably one of the most relatable anime characters who's ever existed.
This character... Okay, first of all, this show looks like you drew it. Let me just grab... Is it okay if I show this random sketch?
It's in blue inks, I don't know.
Yeah, but this is like what casual drawings that you just produce randomly throughout the day look like, and it looks just like this show. And, like, the kind of storytelling and stories told in this show.
I imagine the character will be more, like, their image will change depending on, who's directing it.
Well, particularly the first episode.
Yeah.
Looked like it was drawn by you and felt like something you would write, which was really funny to me. But also, so I don't know anything about Ekoda-chan, but clearly from the way that it is being presented, it's a long runner, I guess. I mean, this says the manga is from 2005 to 2014, so I guess it's not, like, been around forever. But, it's fairly lengthy, and this is not the only adaptation that exists. But it's like a series of little 5-minute episodes about this girl who just likes to be naked all the time. She's never wearing clothes. And she just kind of talks about her everyday life as a freeder in her mid-20s who looks older than she is. She basically... It's highly, like, sexual, very much like it's an older women's comic, I would say. It's, like, about what it's like to be kind of a... I don't know, a raunchy girl. How would you describe Ekoda-chan? I don't even know the words.
The daily lives of sleuths.
I don't even know if she's like a slut per se.
Oh, she's a sleut.
She a sleut? What's the difference? You don't have to answer that.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. Like, it's not. It's how they say. They say it's like it's not alternative, but it's definitely different.
Yeah. So is the show, because this show, what they've done here is it's only 12 episodes planned. Each one has a different director and a different lead actress playing Ekoda-chan. And so after the episode, which is, again, only like 5 minutes, there is then 20 minutes of interviewing the director and lead actress about the episode. So, which these are simultaneously pretty interesting, but they take up so much fucking time. They're like, we watched the first episode and we were like, wow, that was great.
Yeah,
and
I want more.
And then we
just
get
an interview for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, we got like 8 or 9 minutes in and we were like, okay, let's watch the next one. Like, I get it. The next episode is then a completely different tone, because the first one is directed by Akitaro Daiichi. It is extremely fast-paced comedy. If you've seen a lot of his shows, you know it's his style. The second one is directed by Sugii Gisaburo, the guy who directed Night on the Galactic Railroad, and it's like more of a somber little like tone piece,
like
almost.
Sad boy.
Yeah, very different from each other, in spite of having, like, it's clearly from the same place, it's the same character, but just two different emotional palettes. So, you know, I am kind of interested in knowing how each of these directors approached this, but, like, the episodes are literally, like, a couple minutes long and are drawn in this... They look cool, but, like, it's a very crude art style, so you don't feel like you're watching some, like, phenomenal short film that you need to hear 20 minutes of discussion about afterwards. It's like, it's very strange.
Yeah.
But there's different directors for every episode, so like, looking at the list, there's like a Koji Morimoto episode. Like, I mean, if you know your anime directors, like, that's the thing, I want to watch all of these eventually, because so many cool directors are on here, and then also cool actresses, because in episode 2 she's voiced by Paku Romi, who's one of my favorites, so I'm just like, I'm so torn on, like, wanting to watch these, but also just wanting to watch the goddamn show, and not 20 minutes of interviewing about it. But, yeah, I mean, what we saw of the 2 episodes, I thoroughly enjoyed. It's just a character and perspective you don't get nearly enough of in anime.
And it's always cool to see, like, unique styles be showcased.
That, too.
You always, like, want to see what the next episode's gonna look like.
Right, like, after seeing... Because we've been trying to watch 2 episodes of each show on this because of specifically stuff like this, where you watch the first episode and it would convince you the show was one way, but then you get to the second one and you realize that the whole point is that it's a smorgasbord. So really, it's kind of going to be
it's because we watched A Promised Neverland, and that's why we
watching 2. I went into that with the intentions of doing 2 from the start, but yeah, well, mostly because I also knew that was a show that had a different...
Yeah, the first episode was going to have a different tone.
But I knew that going in. So yeah, I love it. I can't wait to see more. I really like the main character instantly. She's really interesting and entertaining, and I like that it's a different perspective, and I like the idea of switching the director every time. It's just mega fucking weird having these 20-minute segments of fucking interviews afterwards. But I'm excited.
Me too.
To see the rest once it's over. And now we'll talk about a show that people have heard of, at least somewhat. Alrighty, we just watched the first 2 episodes of Ueno-san wa Bukiyou, and we have not discussed any of our thoughts yet. So what do you think of Ueno-san no Bukiyou?
It's a little over the top with the potty humor. The character designs are fairly cute. It's pretty good for what it is.
It's about a girl who is the head of the science club, and she creates these wacky inventions which she tries to test by... Basically, she's trying to get this kid to understand that she likes her, and he's a fucking utter moron. And so...
She likes that about him, so she will not tell him at all.
It's,
hijinks ensue.
I think I would call this the genre of frustration comedy.
Yeah.
Where it's all about the characters frustrating one another and you as an audience member in turn. So, like, basically, she will create some invention and then have some weird ploy for how the testing of this invention will cause the boy to realize that she likes him or to just do something perverse. Like, she kind of just wants him to think about her sexually. I think is more important to her than even the idea that he actually understands that she's in love with him. Mm-hmm. She just wants him to have perverted thoughts about her.
You know, him to look at her pussy.
Yeah, she's very thirsty, and she is, she's very horny as well. He, on the other hand, is just a absolute void. He has no... He's so dumb that it's as though his brain were wired to interpret everything wrong. Like, not even consistently. Just, like, everything he thinks will be the wrong thing to think. And then there's a third girl who's just kind of there.
I think she likes the other girl.
Is that what it is?
I feel like.
I don't know if she likes her, if she's just trying to help out with her love scenario. I don't know. But, it's, yeah, I mean, I just gave you the entire show. And I thought the inventions are creative. I like that element of it. I appreciate how raunchy it is. Episode 2, basically the second half amounts to um, a scene where she's wearing this like padded bra that's supposed to make her tits look bigger, and she wants him to locate, which is actually the invention is that it is like super thick like armor or whatever. Like it's this bouncy armor that's meant to protect you. So she wants him to hit her as hard as he can in that spot, and she will give him the device if he guesses correctly. But he just assumes that it's on her ass and will not stop slapping her ass harder and harder and insisting...
Even though it's clearly hurting her and it's not there.
And he keeps insisting that she's just lying about it to fuck with him. So she just keeps slapping... He just keeps slapping her ass harder and harder.
It's pretty great.
It was kind of fun... But like,
I like the second episode better than the first episode.
I found myself feeling like because the episodes are only 12 minutes long, and each of them is split into halves. So it's basically like a bunch of 6-minute episodes, and each one is basically one joke repeated for 6 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just and the joke is always essentially the same. She's trying to get him to do something perverted. He is reversing it on her through ignorance. It's almost immediately the conceit is kind of broken by the fact that she kind of hates him. Like, she thinks he's a fucking idiot, and she's constantly questioning, like, why am I even... I don't understand why she likes him. Like, I don't know what the logic there is other than that it makes the show, like, possible, you know? And he is insufferable.
Yeah.
Because he's, like... He kind of is playing the straight man to her insanity, because she is also insane, but he's also such an idiot. Yeah, so like both sides are the straight man to one another, basically. Like, they're both retarded in such different ways that they're just constantly aggravating each other. And then and me, I am aggravated. I get aggravated watching it, you know? But like, if it was just more... Like, that one scene with the ass-smacking was the only one where I felt like the situation really escalated. Otherwise, all the situations just seem like it's just the joke is this, and then they repeat that. Like, there's one where she creates a deodorizer, and she wants him to smell her stockings that she's clearly come in, I guess. And, like, she makes him smell them first, so that before they deodorize, because that's the only way they can test whether they have been deodorized is after that, you know. So he smells them and he just thinks they're disgusting, and he just keeps saying they stink. And then it's just like basically 2 minutes of that, of him just insisting that they smell really terrible until she gets so embarrassed she leaves. And you know, it was just kind of like, I guess it builds on itself that he keeps repeating it, but it's not really going anywhere new with the joke, and I felt like most of them were like that. So, I don't know. It's alright. I don't think... simultaneously, I feel like I could marathon the whole thing because it's short, you know? Mm-hmm. It would be probably less than 2 hours to watch all of. But I didn't laugh out loud.
Yeah, I don't think it was the funniest show. I've seen similar potty humor shows that were, like, better. But, you know, I didn't hate it. I'm kind of surprised how many people are watching it this season for being a short. Like,
well, it's only 34,000, so it's on the lower end.
I mean,
this barely made my cut for, like mid-range popular shows.
I don't know. It's kind of surprising how many people are watching it. Even with it having, like, a low score now.
I think it might have been popular on 4chan or something, because Zen Huxtable was telling us that he loves the manga, that he's been, like, a long-time fan of it. So I think maybe the manga's been circulating for a while. It kind of reminds me of Takagi-san, that one about the girl just, like, cock-teasing the guy, I think was what that show was about. Yeah. It's that style of humor. Like, if you like those shows where it's just, like, a boy and a girl in school, and one likes the other, and therefore hijinks, you will probably enjoy this show, especially if you like to watch a girl get embarrassed. You know, like, it's mostly about embarrassing this cute girl for basically trying to be a slut and failing. I don't know. I don't think I would continue this one. I feel like I could comfortably drop it and be fine.
Weird. I would watch more of it if you wanted to, but I didn't really like it, so I'm cool with dropping it as well.
Yeah, once again, only the hipster shit survives here on Seasonal Impressions. See you in the next episode.